Hello, everyone. I am Carly Savello, and I'm a talking person. Today, we have another lovely guest on the Talking Person podcast, the lovely Emma. She is a fashion designer in London, and she is the owner of Haus Dahlia. Welcome, Emma.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you. So, tell everyone a little bit about your business, kind of the content that you create. Give us the rundown.
Yeah, of course. So, Haus Dahlia is a size inclusive, sustainable fashion brand. So, we're basically against everything that's popular right now. So, screw fast fashion, screw the skinny narrative, everything like that. We do a lot of content. I say we, it is literally just me, who does everything. I make, sew, pattern cut. I'm answering emails, like I do everything. So everything you see on my website is made by me. And then yeah, our content is around kind of like fighting against fat phobia in the fashion industry and educating about sustainability and how important it is as well in the fashion industry.
I love that. And I've been following you for a while. It's why I asked you to come on, and thank you so much again for being here. I just
Thank you.
absolutely love your brand's mission. I love the clothing you create. If you guys haven't seen Emma's work, you should definitely follow Haus Dahlia on Instagram, and you're on everywhere too. I know you're on Threads. Are
Yeah.
you on like Blue Sky?
I am on Blue Sky. I need to use it more. You know, when you
Me
like
too.
haven't gotten into the habit of using it,
Yeah.
I need to get into it more. And then I'm on TikTok as well. Yeah.
Delightful. Yeah, I find, oh my gosh, I find posting to all the platforms so difficult, especially now.
It
Like
is,
when
yeah.
Blue Sky came out, I'm so grateful to have a place that isn't Twitter, but I find that
Mm,
the UI is really challenging still for me
it
to get the
is,
hang
yeah.
of. And I can't schedule stuff, and I'm a person, I love scheduling stuff ahead.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
No,
everybody go
that's yeah.
follow Haus Dahlia. Your work is
Thank you.
incredible, and you have a new collection coming out too, which we'll have you
Yes,
talk about.
in a couple of months, I don't want to give away the concept, but I will talk about what I'm using in it
Mhm.
and stuff. Because the concept is really just in I think it's my best concept yet.
Oh, I'm sure.
Um, so I'm really excited, but I want to keep everything a little bit of a secret around that aspect of it. Yeah.
Amazing. I can't wait to see it. And the release date, do you have a set release date yet?
July, although I'm waiting on production stuff, which I'll get into in a bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully July.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, I cannot wait to see that. I've been wanting to buy something, and I think that this upcoming
Oh,
collection
thank
is
you.
going to be the time. I've been planning my wedding, so I've been a bit poor as of late, but
Amazing,
after that,
congrats.
yeah, oh my gosh, it's coming in a couple weeks, and I'm just like so ready to like have money again and
Yeah.
spend it on your
How
clothing.
you find, thank you. How are you finding like the dress shopping and stuff?
I actually, so great segue into some
Yeah.
of the topics we want to talk about. So obviously, Emma's a fashion
Nice.
designer. We love
Hell
to talk
yeah.
about fashion. Hell yeah, yeah. So I went dress
Smooth.
shopping. When I got engaged, we were like, oh, we're going to be so chill about it. And then we had a
Mm,
friend who was like, haha, I have friends who already booked their October wedding of next year. This was last year. And we were like,
oh my
so
God.
we like very quickly had to rush into things because we wanted to
Yeah.
get married in May. So we're getting married first week of May. And yeah, the dress
Amazing.
shopping was just when I went dress shopping. So I saw a lot of stuff online. The first thing was panic because a lot of women
Yeah.
online were like, you have to shop. I've already gotten my dress and it's 2 years out. And I'm like, first of all, my weight
Yeah.
fluctuates so much. I cannot buy
Mm,
something 2 years out and
yeah.
like expect to fit into it. That's just not happening.
No,
So
that is nuts.
I went about 8ish months out.
Yeah, I
So
think that's what I tell people is 8 months is a good timeline because
yeah,
then you can get about two or three fittings and you know your weight shouldn't fluctuate that much
yeah.
unless you're like dieting for whatever reason. Um yeah, 8 months is really good. I do have people email me, and I suppose this is a bit different because it's bespoke wedding dresses, so we do
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
design it. But I've already got people asking me to book for the end of 2027, and I'm like, oh my God, how are you
I
thinking that far ahead?
how do you know that you're getting married then too? Do
I
people like
know.
oh my God, do people plan before they get engaged? That's what I've been seeing is that some people plan before the
Yeah,
engagement happens. And I'm just
they
like,
must do. I mean, like, I've been engaged for 5 years,
oh
and
my gosh,
I've just,
congratulations.
thank you. But we're just like, we keep going, oh yeah, we'll do it next year. And then we just never get around to it. But it's
I love
mainly
that
because,
though.
like, yeah, well, mainly we were going to do it next year 'cause next year would be 10 years together. And so we were like, yeah, let's do it around the 10-year anniversary. But we're buying a flat. So we're going to have to put that on hold and
That's the
then make
thing.
up the funds again.
It's so expensive too. So yeah, so for
It
dress
is,
shopping, that
yeah.
was another thing. We talked about budget. We're like, none of
Mm,
our parents are contributing. It's just us paying for stuff, which
yeah,
was important because we didn't want opinions. So I go dress
fair
shopping about
enough.
8 months off, 8 months out. I just bring my mom. I was like
Nice.
super chill. I'm not a fan of fast fashion, but also considering the budget that we had, I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna either buy secondhand or get something like off the rack at David's
Yeah.
Bridal. Like I don't want anything custom. Like
Yeah. No. I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because, like, even just off the rack is really expensive now. Like,
it is.
it is ridiculous. Like, I think it's like the wedding industry is worth like 23, either million or billion, I can't remember. But
I'm sure
it's
it's
just,
billion.
and yeah, it's probably billion. It's just an
Yeah,
insane uh industry. And I think the average wedding dress is about 3,500 now.
I'm
Um
not surprised.
and I, as a fashion designer, I wouldn't even spend that much on a dress unless, like, that fabric, I don't know, is just like made by angels. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's
Yeah,
magical, like it's going to transport me to Narnia or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's,
yeah,
even I think that's excessive because it's essentially
yeah.
you're paying for the event in a way, a bit like when you buy a luxury handbag, you're buying the brand.
Exactly.
For a bridal dress, you're buying the day in a weird way, and I just don't
Yeah.
agree with that.
I didn't either. So yeah, our budget was really small and like we still ended up having to double it because it's the wedding
Yeah.
industry. So like we're trying to keep everything under like 25,000, which
Yeah.
we've been told even by like planners and
Yeah.
stuff that that's a super small budget.
Yeah,
We
that's
were
really
called a
small.
micro.
Yeah.
We were called a micro
Mm,
wedding.
that's
So I
nuts. And
yeah,
how many people is that for you?
that is 45 people.
See, that's nuts. Like, I'm
Yeah.
literally like eloping at our
Yeah.
like registry office, and we're doing 4 people, and even that is like nearly 3 grand.
Oh,
And
exactly.
it's like, what,
Exactly.
for just a day? It's insane.
For one day. That was my other philosophy on the dress was like, I'm wearing this for one day. I'm not
Mm,
gonna like preserve it. Like we're getting really nice photos. That was important to us. And I was like,
yeah.
I'm wearing it for one day. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on one outfit. So I was able to get my dress plus alterations were under $800.
That's incredible.
And like I
That's
love the
really good.
dress. I don't feel
Yeah.
like I compromised on anything, but I was like, I mean, if I could do it again, I would do the same thing, or like I'd probably partner with someone like you to get something. I
Yeah.
mean, if I had thought about it more in advance, I would have done that. But
Yeah.
like just with the cost of everything,
I mean, like,
it was just not feasible.
yeah, I mean, how many, I've done 4 wedding dresses. So,
Mhm.
no, sorry, 5 wedding dresses now in 2 years. And I've
Yeah.
never charged more than over a grand, which I think is probably about
I love that.
maybe 1,500 for you guys. But,
That's incredible.
like, I'm very much like, these are my rates. So that doesn't change unless obviously it takes longer because you've got like a ball gown or something, and I'm like
Yeah.
sewing yards and yards on, but my rate stays the same. The only thing that's going to fluctuate is the fabric price. So, I
Yeah.
go, these are all your options, have a look through them, whatever. And like you said about, like, you're only wearing it for one day, I kind of push my brides a little bit into going for separates, so a corset and a skirt, because you could wear that
Mhm.
corset again. Because usually they
Yeah.
want quite simple designs, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, if you go for 2 piece, you can wear that corset again. You can dye the skirt if it's a natural fabric. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas with a
Yeah.
dress, you are pretty much kind of stuck with it,
Yeah.
because then you'll have to take it to someone to be altered if that's what you want.
Exactly. Now, speaking of
Mm.
post-wedding alterations, what are your thoughts on this trend where, and I've seen it in a few videos, where brides after their reception or during their reception, they take scissors to, they take scissors to the bottom of the dress. I see them do this with hair too. They'll do like a
Yeah,
chop
I've
of
seen the
hair
hair one.
and I'm sorry, it looks terrible.
I just think it's so gimmicky, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
it's not for them. It's for a viral moment. They're
Yeah.
not doing it for them. They're not doing it for their
Yeah.
guests. It's literally for all the people online who they'll never meet in their life. And they're just
Yeah.
like, how can I make my wedding be seen by the masses? And it'd be something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Or like, when videos go around online of when they're cutting the cake, it's usually the men who then shove it into the face of the
Oh
bride.
my gosh, don't even get me
And
started on that.
you're like, it goes viral because so many people get offended by it. And the same with the skirt cutting. Like it just, oh my God, it winds me up so much because I'm like, why do you even care about people seeing, like,
Yeah.
why do you care? It's your wedding day. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think maybe because I'm like chronically online because of my job, um,
Same.
I'm kind of like, I could not imagine really sharing my wedding day with all those people.
Yeah.
Like I'll share the pictures, but that's about it. I'm not going to share anything else because it's like, it's your wedding day. Do you
It
know what I
is, and I
mean?
think it should be personal, and it's really you celebrating
Yeah,
love with your closest friends and family. And I don't see, I think the gimmick is, that's a good word to use
yeah.
when describing it. I have seen there were so many recommendations. I mean, the wedding industry is so saturated. Like we had recommendations for, oh, we do content creation. We're not just a photographer or videographer. We'll do content creation, and they shoot like with phones, and we'll put together a reel for your day. And it was like starting prices at $1,500.
That's nuts. I'm just like, I just want a photographer to take photos, and then I'll give my best mate a disposable just to take
Yeah.
more intimate
That's
photos.
so
I feel
funny.
like that's
That's
all
so
you
funny. That's what we
need.
did.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
I
Yeah.
think that's perfect. I just think like it's the same with like oh, I can't remember who it was, an influencer, and she kept saying to her audience, "Oh, I can't wait to show you the dress. I can't wait to show you the dress." And then when she did, and she showed the wedding reel, it like the dress caused like mass outrage, and like everyone. I had no idea who this influencer was. I just got like the end of the drama,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just again, like I'm like, why are so many people so obsessed with what someone else is doing? And I think it's that like, what's the word? Like the social oh God, I can't think of it.
I know what
Parasocial
you're.
relationship.
Yep.
There we go. Yeah. And it's like you like you're never gonna meet this person in your life. Why do you care so much? And it's really sad. And it's just like I don't even think those people who have those parasocial relationships, it's not even their fault really. It's these content creators who are literally
Yeah.
like sharing every single moment. So you feel like you're part of their lives. Um and it's just, yeah, I couldn't imagine someone getting so, or I couldn't imagine myself, sorry, getting so upset over someone else's wedding dress.
Yeah. Or sharing so much of your own life that people feel
Yeah.
that they can weigh in that way, which I think it's another good thing we could talk about. I mean, you mentioned
Mm,
sharing photos of a wedding. It's something I've debated, and I think I've decided that that's staying on my private Instagram. So I have a private
yeah.
account and a public account, and I have yet, I mean, this podcast is actually the first time I've shown, kind of like, this is the most of my
Yeah.
body I've ever shown. And
Nice. Yeah.
like, while I'd be totally happy sharing more of it, I mean, I'm a plus size woman, I'd be happy, sharing more
Mm,
like outfit photos. I don't need the comments.
no,
And I'd love
it's
to hear
not.
about how you handle that, because I know it's something you deal with, the fat phobes, and it's really
Yeah.
disgusting. And I love too that like your audience, everybody rushes to your defense. Someone will leave a
Yeah.
nasty comment, everybody was like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah. Honestly, I have such an amazing community, and they make me feel so safe. It's unreal. Which is why I feel so confident to stand up against it all. Because I think if I was a much smaller creator, I had an even smaller community, or I was just starting out, and I mean, when I was starting out, I couldn't deal with the comments. I would like go into full meltdowns and be like, oh my God, someone's being really horrible to me. Because I am a really sensitive person, but having that community has helped me build a thicker skin and be able to go, yeah, no, fuck off. Like, I care what you think. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it is just insane because I posted a video last summer. Yeah, last summer. And it got like, I think it was like nearly 20 million views
I
on
remember this.
Instagram. And it was just me on the tube in an outfit, and I can't even remember what the text on the screen said, but it just annoyed so many people. And that was a really difficult time, because it wasn't even what the comments were saying, because by then I felt like my skin was thick enough to handle it. It wasn't what the comments were saying, it was the volume of it. And it was like my phone would flash up every second with just new comment after new comment after new comment. And you do feel like you're drowning in them. And it's just a really, someone who's not used to any kind of attention whatsoever, to then get essentially 15 million people looking
Yeah.
at you, obviously not all at once, but it feels like that.
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming. And I was getting like death threats over it. Like, people in my DMs
Oh,
were just like really going for me. And I just think, all because I was sat on a tube and just daring to be myself, essentially.
that's so
Um,
stupid. I'm sorry.
it,
That's so ridiculous. I
yeah.
don't get when, and I think it's all empty threats. People will dox other people too,
Mm,
which is abhorrent. But yeah, people get
yeah.
so upset about things, and I think we're in this generation where we're all hidden behind a screen, and sometimes
Mm.
people think, "Oh, I can say whatever I want." And I've seen some people do this where they screenshot it and send it to their employer.
Yeah, I did that with a couple of men last summer, and
Love that.
it was really great. Like, I just felt so good about it, because
Yeah.
I was like, for so long we've just been like, oh, there's no consequences. But if
Mhm.
they're actively putting their work link in their bio,
Yep.
free a fair game. Like, do you know what I mean? I will
Yep.
message your boss. Like, it winds me up so much, because they just think they're so immune to it, especially, like, majority of it was men,
Yeah. No
who
kidding.
were being, yeah. But I've noticed something really interesting over the last couple of months. I don't really get many comments from men anymore. I mainly get fatphobic comments from women, which is something that I'm starting to kind of like try and tackle with my content, is the kind of misogyny within fatphobia.
Yeah.
Because we expect it from men. We expect them to be horrible. And I hate saying that, but we do in this day and age.
Of course, I know there's men who are like, it's not all men, and it's like, well, it's not, but
But
uh,
it is. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
If you're not actively calling it out, then
exactly.
you can't say anything. um, but I find it all very just sad. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just what we've become as a society, just really depressing. But it's so interesting, I think, with like, seeing a rise in conservatism and fascism and all of that stuff,
Yeah,
to now see a lot of women turning on other women. And I do wonder if they're doing it out of a survival instinct without even knowing. Like,
yeah.
they're just turning like that, just to make sure that they're not targeted, which, again, is not an excuse for being horrible,
Yeah.
but I kind of understand. Um,
Yeah, it's a
but
scary time.
yeah, it's so interesting to see comments from other women. And I'm like, if the tables were turned, you would feel awful.
You would break down. Yep.
You would break down. Um, and it's just, it makes me really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I just think it's ridiculous. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that with your content. I hate it when
Mm,
it'll be the post you do not expect to go big. You'll
yeah.
work really hard on content, and it's the thing you just kind
Mm,
of throw out there in 5 seconds, and it gets millions
yeah.
of views, and it's really scary. I think it's overwhelming. I haven't experienced any post that's gotten that big before, but just the constant pinging. I saw a post on Threads today where someone said, um, people who turn off the like count on their post, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I had such a terrible relationship with those metrics where
Yeah.
I was like feeding off of, oh, I have this many, I have this many now, I have this many. And I
Yeah.
turned it off because I just want to have a healthier relationship with social media.
Yeah. I'm exactly the same. Like, I think when I'm going through a bad engagement patch, I'm still very much like, oh my God, the numbers. And I'm like tearing my
Yeah.
hair out over these stupid numbers. And I have to bring myself back down to earth and go, it does not matter.
Mhm.
There are worse things going on in the world. It's just ebb and flow. Um, but yeah, those numbers, like, I remember before they had that feature, I hated posting on Instagram because it was like, I don't know if you remember in the really early days, it was until you got up to 12 likes, it would show everyone's names. And then when you got past 12 likes, it would switch to numbers.
Yep.
And I'd be like, oh, okay, so I've got to get 12 people to like my post. And I
I
would like
remember that.
obsess. And this was on my personal stuff. And I was a teenager back then, obsessing over it. And like now, I don't even really like know 12 people personally, like in close
Yeah.
proximity. Um, and I used to just sit and obsess, which is why I absolutely love that you can turn it off now, because
Me
otherwise I would still
too.
sit and obsess.
Me too. I did that on my
Yeah,
personal account too. I remember I almost like feel I like yearn for the time before I got social media. I remember I was so excited to get it. And then once I did, I remember I was in middle school and I just started seeing all these posts of parties I was not invited to. And I was
yeah,
like, oh, I was like, I have not really been missing out. And I remember all these girls, like there's everybody has the thin clique of like blonde girls in their
yeah,
school. And I remember looking at them and just I'm feeling so sad. And now I look back and I'm
yeah,
like, I mean, I remember them calling me fat, getting all those jokes. And I look back at pictures of myself in high school and I'm like, oh, you're stunning. This is so
yeah,
ridiculous. And it probably comes from, I don't understand why, as women, we can really be our own worst enemy.
yeah,
Other women tearing other women down. I will never understand it. I feel like it should be everyone's goal to uplift other women. And I'll never
yeah.
get it.
I think, like, for me, I had the exact same experience. Like, it really brought this massive sense of FOMO, which then led to like a massive social anxiety for me. Like, I really, once social media came about, I really struggled socially. Before then, I was like really bubbly. I wanted to be friends with everyone. And then because I saw what I was missing out on, I really withdrew it within myself.
Yeah.
But like looking back now, I I think to myself, they learned that behavior from somewhere, that like exclusion and that misogyny. They learned that from somewhere. And I just, again, it makes me feel sad for them because they
Yeah.
obviously did not have good home lives if they were going around being horrible to people, or they had people who were picking on them in their lives and what they
Oh,
look like. And
exactly.
so
Yep.
and I, it took me so long to realize that because I had a best friend and we knew each other for 10 years and she was bigger than me um in terms of fatness, and she would deflect any fat phobia right onto me. So she was almost immune to it. It was insane. She was immune to it because she would just deflect it straight onto me.
Mm,
And she was like the head of our friendship group, and it was also
got it.
toxic when I look back at it.
Oh my
But
gosh, yeah. Oh my god, the heads of friendship groups. I know instantly what you mean when you say that, and it's just that's what a horrendous time high school is.
literally, she would like, I was like, I hate saying this, but like, I was the original friend. Like, I was there in primary school, but then when we got to secondary school,
Yeah.
she would like swap me out with other people, and then she'd
Oh,
like come
absolutely.
crawling back. But I remember her deflecting all this stuff onto me, and I felt myself become like, there are things that I could say to hurt you about what you look like and what how you look like that, because she did have a, an unhealthy relationship with food. She did
Mhm.
not eat very well. She ate a lot of junk food, and I was so angry at the time. I was like, I could say all of this, and I didn't, because I was like, that's just not. I know that nothing's gonna come of that, and
Yeah.
so I just like took it on the chin. Anytime that someone was rude to her, she just, yeah, deflect it and go, oh well, look at Emma, and it'd be like, okay, I'm just trying to get on with my maths homework here, but whatever.
Oh my god, that's so horrible. No, and I feel like
Yeah.
the politics of those inner friend circles. I mean, I experienced that too. I remember my senior prom, like everybody was friends with each other, and I
Mm,
don't know if you had this, if this is like a this is probably a global thing. This
mm.
phrase Saturdays are for the boys was big at my school. All the guys would
Oh,
like get
okay.
together, hang out, and I definitely was like a tomboy in school, so a lot of my
Yeah.
friend groups were guys, and they started slowly letting in these like pretty popular girls and then took
Oh
them all to
yeah.
prom. And I remember one of my good friends, and you said I was the original friend. I feel that
Mm,
because I was friends with all these guys, before they went through
probably yeah.
puberty. And yeah. And so I remember
Mm,
like one of my really good friends, I was like, oh, maybe like we'll go to a dance together. And he was like too embarrassed to even like hang out with me on the night.
yeah. It's nuts, isn't it? Because I feel like maybe this is a universal thing for fat women. Because I was a bit of a tomboy as well. Because I
Yeah.
just before they went through puberty, boys, in my experience, they weren't as harsh. Mainly because they were too busy picking on each other in like a
Yeah.
bantery way to really notice me. Um, But I remember, like, when I started to kind of go, oh, I like this boy, or maybe I like that boy, and I would tell my best friend about it, and she would go out of her way to date them. And, like,
Oh,
again, like, it was just nuts. Like, I look back on it and I go, how can someone so young be so manipulating? Um, but again, she would, like, deflect onto me. And it's so, like, looking back, it's just so strange.
it's a lot
It's
of
just so,
internalized
it
misogyny
is.
and like self-hatred I've found.
It is. And it would be like, I would say, oh, I kind of fancied this guy. And it would be like, oh, well, it would never happen, would it, Emma? And it's kind of like, oh, okay. And then she would recommend guys for me who, one, were lovely guys, but they were not my type. Like, they were just like,
Mm,
we had nothing in common. I remember once she forced me to date this guy who would send me JLS songs which was a band in the UK, would send me links to their songs on MSN. And like, so I'd log on to MSN after coming home from school, and there was just all these links to love songs, and I'm just like, oh god, I just felt so uncomfortable. And I was
yeah.
like, why did I even like? Why do I go along with it? Um, yeah, it's just so weird what we kind of are led to believe, and like we just go along with it because we why would your best friend lie to you, kind of thing. You wouldn't know it
Yeah.
at the time.
And yeah, and there's something you said I want to go back to for a second. You said like
Mm,
a thing with a lot of like when we're younger fat girls, are we like pushed into tomboy fashion? And I feel like in a sense, at
mm,
least for me, like I definitely gravitated toward like the baggier jean jackets and like the t-shirts and the pants just because at least for me, I mean, I grew up in a pretty poor family and like
yeah,
we could only afford the fast fashion items and then those ended up
yeah,
looking baggier on me because it's not built for plus size girls.
yeah. I had I had a similar experience. I was really lucky that my grandma would sew clothes for me. But that was up until I was about 8, and then I got a bit too big for her sewing patterns,
Yeah.
and she was like, "I've got nothing for you," and I was like, "Okay." And then yeah, I did kind of because I wore a lot of prints, and I was very loud, and I loved clothes. And then I think from 8 up until about 16, I went through the same tomboy
Yeah.
fashion sense where it was like, yeah, baggy t-shirts, baggy jeans, or leggings were like a huge thing in the UK. Like you just wear, even though I look back and I think, but that's literally like that's your thigh and that's what you're most insecure about, and you're wearing something really tight fitting. Like
Yeah.
what's that about? But for some reason they didn't make me feel insecure. And then like baggy hoodies and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And it would be like, I go around like this all the time with my hands shoved in,
Same.
and then just kind of like hiding my stomach and walking around. Um, yeah, I feel like maybe that is a universal thing. Because I
It makes
don't.
a lot of sense.
It does. It really does. And I think we're so aware from such a young age of our bodies. I mean, women in general, but I think fat women specifically, because you've got family members who are going, "Oh, you're looking a bit podgy," or "Oh, you've eaten too much," or "You can't have
Hmm.
more pudding." And then it transitions into not just your family saying that, but your friends making comments. And
Yeah.
then boys making comment, and then random strangers 20 years later on the internet making random
Yeah.
comments.
And can we even call
Yeah.
them friends if they're making comments like that?
No, not at
Let's
all.
maybe like acquaintances.
Yeah, weirdos,
No,
losers.
it's wild. And especially something that like I remember, in gym class too, like getting the looks from the gym teacher, like for not being able to
Mm,
do a pull up and for being in the back of the pack during the mile. And like, I've recently found out that there's a serious like genetic component that like I have, like chronic illness. And like, I think a
yeah,
lot of people later find out that like, oh, it's not my fault. I was a fat kid in school. I had like
yeah,
PCOS or endometriosis, or I had, this other condition, or like a lot of fatness is genetic.
yeah. It literally
and
is.
like and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, just
No,
diabetes runs in my family on both sides, and so I've kind of
yeah.
like, I hate that like there's this Ozempic trend right now, because I know eventually I'm going to have
Mm,
to actually be on it for medical reasons, and
yeah.
like people are going to say, oh, who's on Ozempic now?
It's really frustrating, isn't it? Because like these are the conversations I'm having constantly. Is that like fat people didn't well people didn't wake up one day and go, God damn it, I'm gonna eat 12 pizzas in a row, and then
No.
decide to be fat. Like, do you know what I mean? But this is what they think, and it's like you've got to explain basic genetics and biology. And yeah, like with women, PCOS and endometriosis, like it really winds me up that people can't even just see the basic science, because it's not like you're
Yeah.
asking them to believe in evolution, which obviously is real, but you're not asking them to
Yeah.
believe in some weird thing. Like, there's
It's not
evidence, there's
rocket
facts.
science.
Exactly. Like, it's really basic. We all learn it in school. Why can you not grasp it? um it's really interesting because, like, on my side of the family, um the women were really thin when they were young, and then when they were older they were bigger. But I've always been big, and I do wonder, based on like my own theories and like research around how fatness is in the DNA, etc. But my mum had an ED before having me, so she was bulimic, and I wonder if that put put some kind of thing on my genetics, in that, because she didn't know she was pregnant with me for like 6 months. It was insane, because she was thin.
Yeah.
um and so I wonder if that had something to play with my own fatness.
Like a
um
generational trauma of some sort.
exactly. And I do you know what I mean? Because I find it really interesting. If I have children now, I wonder, will they be fat or not, because of this? And will it be a genetic thing, or because I think about it in terms of like famines. So if a generation experiences a famine, the next generation will usually be fatter. So in India at the moment, and I hate saying this because I don't necessarily agree with it, but they're having an obesity crisis. Like, that's what they're saying in the media.
Yeah, sure.
Um, but it's because like there are more fatter people in India now, because the British Empire was constantly putting forced famines on them years and
Yeah.
years ago. So they've now evolved to survive those, you know, more fat. If more famines were to come, they'd be able to, like, survive it better. And so when I thought about that, I wondered if, having mothers who were not well, or didn't have a healthy relationship, or had EDs before having children, I wonder if that affects. But yeah, I'm not a scientist, so that's just my little theory.
No, of course, no, and I
Yeah.
think it's a perfectly reasonable consideration, and obviously there's an element of nurture over nature too that happens.
Mm,
We mimic a lot of the behaviors we see, and I obviously no one's a perfect parent, but like no one, like just the way you said that nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, I'm going to eat 12 pizzas today. No parent goes, I'm
yeah.
going to raise a fat kid. Like, that's not.
Yeah. No. And it's so nuts, because I remember reading Aubrey Gordon, Your Fat Friend, and I cannot remember which book it is in now. I think it's the one about fat myths, I think. Um, and she said in the UK, so this would have been around the time I was growing up, which was the early 2000s, um, they were taking children away who were too fat, because they saw it as a safeguarding risk. So they thought the parents were forcing them to overeat, essentially. So if your kid was overweight on the BMI scale, you could potentially have them taken away by social services.
It's so
And
ridiculous.
because they were seeing it as a sign of neglect. So I think in their minds, they were thinking, oh, well, no parent, like every parent should control what their child eats. That parent obviously isn't controlling what their child eats because they're fat. So therefore it's a safeguarding issue and we need to take them away, which is nuts to me.
It's
It's
nuts to me
just,
too, because like BMI is also, but I mean,
it,
neither of us are scientists, but like BMI was not meant to measure individual
no,
fitness. It was meant to measure populations. And
yeah,
somehow it has still kind of
it's
maintained its
still
place on
being
all of our health
used. Yeah,
reports. And it makes no sense to me. It was meant for
no,
populations. I mean, I have been at my fittest. I was on varsity basketball team,
yeah,
in high school. And even at my fittest, they were like, you are still, classified as obese. So I'd get the pamphlet and
yeah,
I was like, I don't know what else I can be doing. Like, I feel healthy. I can run a 9-minute mile and like, I'm
yeah,
still being called fat by my doctor.
yeah. It, I just don't understand how doctors can be so, what's the word, like so hung up on the BMI
Yeah.
because I remember, I don't know if it's the same for you guys in the US, but in the UK,
Yeah.
when you go for birth control, you have to have a BMI test because they have to see if you're like, it's
Yep.
possible for blood clots. And obviously
Yep.
they think that if you're fat, you're like more likely to have blood clots. Anyway, and I remember doing the test, and thankfully I had a female doctor at the time, and she said, "I'm just doing it because I have to, but I'm not going to listen to it because it's not correct. It doesn't even
That's
take into
amazing.
account."
I had the
Yeah,
I had the same
amazing, isn't
experience. I
it?
have a wonderful woman doctor, and I
Yeah,
remember I went in and she was like discovering I was basically like describing all of these pains that I have, and she was like, I think you might have endometriosis. And she like worked with me to, she was like, maybe you should try a birth control because like we've been seeing that it
yeah,
helps like with higher levels of estrogen. And so I'm very grateful for especially the women doctors that we're able to have.
yeah.
But again, I mean, healthcare isn't as accessible in the US and
No, yeah,
it's a persistent issue. Speaking of UK healthcare, another thing we
yes.
want to talk about is this fucking ruling. This
Oh my
ruling in the
God,
UK.
it's been such a week, and it's again, I feel disappointed in, women in general because,
Yeah.
this is the it's
Cisgender white women.
bootlicking. Yeah, it is. And but it's bootlicking the patriarchy. So no matter how
Yep.
much they think that they're these independent women, they're still like squished under the thumb of the patriarchy. And you looking at them, because I mean, I don't know if you saw the photos of them celebrating outside the court and they're like
I
popping a
did.
bottle of champagne.
It made my stomach just
Yeah,
hurt looking at those
yeah.
women.
But you look at them and you go, yeah, you're all cisgendered white women, and I bet you've won. You've never spoken to a trans person in your life. I bet you've never spoken to just a queer person. Or, because they're always like, oh, but we can tell. You can't. So if you have
I
spoken to one,
Nope.
I bet you've not even noticed.
I guarantee to those women, I guarantee you that you have shared a bathroom with at least 10 trans women in your life and you have
Yeah,
never noticed because frankly, like again, like someone's passability doesn't make them more or less trans, but like I
no.
guarantee those women that they have shared restrooms with trans people and not known.
Yeah, I mean, there's a restroom in King's Cross, which is gender neutral. So you go in, and you've got on one side you've got gender neutral, and it just says both genders, and then you have on the other side one for just men and one for just women. I'm assuming in the men's one they have urinals,
Mhm.
whereas obviously everywhere else would be a toilet. And I walked in, and there was men, young kids, women, like, and we were all just going about you're there to do your business. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not looking anyone in the eye when I'm on my way to the toilet. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even like using public bathrooms in
Who
general.
does? None
Not
of us want to be
because
perceived.
exactly, like, not because of who's in there, but because that anyone's in there when I'm trying to do my business. Do you know what I mean? But that toilet is like, firstly, it was the cleanest toilet I've ever been in, and I've been
No
in some
kidding.
disgusting toilets.
Yeah.
So the fact that like all genders are using this and it's that clean, very
Yeah.
impressive. No fights were breaking out. No one was, confused. Everyone was like, I see a sign on the door. that applies to
Yeah.
me. I just use it.
Nobody was
And
being a
like,
pedophile. Nobody was assaulting
no.
anybody. Everybody was just
And
peeing and washing their hands.
exactly. And they were all toilets that the cubicles went from floor to wall, which I'm sorry,
Love
but
that.
every toilet, every public toilet should be like
Every
that.
bath. I've been in the ones
Every.
out. Oh my God. I've been at, I live near an amusement park, and I swear the crack between the door and it's like that big. It's like, yeah, for the video listeners, they can
Yeah.
see it's like 3 inches wide.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
People
yeah,
can see
yeah.
through. I have little kids like looking through and waving.
Oh my God, yeah. I've had like, even in like dressing rooms, I've had
Yeah.
kids throw back the curtains and then I'm just like trying to get dressed. And I'm like, oh my God, I like
Hi.
hate using them. So like if it's a public toilet with a, yeah, floor to wall
Mhm.
cubicle, I'm like, great, perfect. I can do my business in peace. So then
Gorgeous.
when these TERFs are like, oh my God, I don't want to be sharing a bathroom. It's like, well, I don't think we want to be sharing a bathroom with anyone because it's such an intimate thing anyway.
It's
So
like I don't
like,
want to share a bathroom
so
with
who
you. And
cares?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
who
yeah,
cares?
I was going to say,
And
for those who don't know, TERF is trans exclusionary
yes,
radical feminist. So the types of feminists who think that femininity is derived from your genitalia and not your gender expression or identity.
it just winds me up. I've seen a lot of people recently online call them farts instead.
I saw
Um,
that.
yeah, and I kind of like agree but disagree, mainly because I think tough is such a important word.
It's very
Um,
accurate. It's just like, it's precise.
exactly, exactly. And we shouldn't start confusing terminology when it's a really important time to use certain terminology.
And we shouldn't make a
Um,
mockery out of it either.
no,
Like, I think TERF, the way that, like, I mean, farts, it's obviously we know it's
yeah,
a joke that you're making, but like right now, it's not a joke.
no.
And
It
we need to
just
be
feels a bit.
precise.
Yeah, if I know it's coming from a well-meaning place, but like I've seen a few videos and I'm just like, can we just stick to the language that we know?
Yeah.
Because otherwise people are going to start to get confused and it's going to become really um engulfed and become even worse than it is. But it's really interesting because I had a couple of conversations with TERFs over this week, who were in my comments, and they're
Unsolicited
just yeah,
conversations with
yeah.
TERFs.
And you are like, I'm always happy to bring my side of the conversation
Oh
and be
yeah.
like, these are the facts and figures, but they are delusional, and I hate using that word, but it a lot of it is rooted in delusion
Or
because
willful ignorance.
yeah, because they just refuse to believe that either they are the problem or that men in general are the problem for them not feeling safe. And like right now in the UK, there is a huge epidemic of violence against women and young girls.
Yeah.
And it's like, there are so many just young teenage girls killed in London by young boys wielding knives. And it's I mean, obviously we've all seen Adolescence, and we know of it, the Netflix show that came out recently, and like that is the reality here. We had an awful incident last summer called the Southport killings, where a young boy went into a dance studio and killed a bunch of young girls, and three girls died, and it was just like the most heartbreaking thing ever. And I just think to myself, you know these TERFs are so hung up on the wrong thing,
Yeah.
because where's the justice for those little girls, and where is the justice still for women like Sarah Everard, who was murdered by Wayne Collins, I think his name was, a police officer. Like,
Yeah.
there's no trust in the police here, for women anyway. And I'm like, why is it trans people? Why are they the problem? Because they're
Why are we
not.
celebrating? Why are we celebrating when I mean, the justice is not, making sure there are fewer places for trans people to use the bathroom
Yeah,
publicly. It's like
but
what are you stopping?
yeah, and what also winds me up as well, right, is these third spaces, or sorry, no, the single sex spaces they keep talking about.
Yeah.
Because I assume that it's just really toilets and changing rooms, but it's almost like the way they describe it, it's like, oh, we have this special place where all biological women meet up every Tuesday, and we do this and we do that. And I'm like, but there's no community
Yeah.
among women really in the UK. Do you know what I mean? Like, I only really find community in online spaces. I don't find it in my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
And how
I
crazy it is
don't
that they think that like you don't pick your friends based on genitalia. I don't know what these women are
know.
like smoking, but that's not, you don't walk up to someone and go, "Hi, nice to meet you. I have a
No.
vagina. Would you like to be
Yeah.
friends?" That's just like, who, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And it winds me up because they just keep banging on about these like single sex spaces. And I'm like, but what spaces are you bloody talking about apart from a toilet? Who cares about the toilet? Do you know what I mean? Like,
No.
I want young girls to be able to go to a dance class and not feel like they're going to be murdered.
Yeah.
It's really simple, isn't it? And yet they can't, like, because I saw a video recently where someone went through J.K. Rowling's Twitter. I hate to use her name, but
We could just
piece
say
of work.
she who will not be
Yeah.
named.
Um, and he was like, in Twitter, I think you can type in the username and then like the subject or
Yeah,
something
you can
like
do
that.
like a, you can refine search.
Yeah. So they were doing that on her account, and they put in Southport killings, they put in abortion, they put in maternity pay, all these topics.
I see where
Nothing
this is
came up.
going. Yep, nothing.
Nothing came up. She said nothing.
Which means
And
that
I'm
the
just
issue
like,
isn't even really women then. We're not protecting
no,
women. We're, I mean, you're what, protecting the sanctity of like your vagina, which is like
yeah,
good for you. I just, no, I hate saying her name too. I think that the goal right now for everyone should be to make her irrelevant.
yeah.
Everybody's seen that picture on her yacht. Like, let's stop
Oh,
talking about her. If she, I said to somebody else, somebody, I had a turf argue with me on Threads, and I said, look, the point, like, obviously, I said in my post, let's bleed her dry. Let's bleed that turf
yeah.
dry. Like, there she is on her yacht. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't need you buying her
No.
books anymore. And this person was like, oh, she's just protecting women. And I was just like, she
But
doesn't need you. Like, and also,
no.
let's make her irrelevant. The point isn't to burn the books. Like, you've already bought them. Keep the books, whatever. But like, stop talking about her. If she woke up and had zero notifications on Twitter,
Yeah.
she'd probably die. I think
Yeah,
she
she would.
feeds off of that.
Yeah. I constantly think about what Azealia Banks said about her. I don't know if you saw this. Do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? Yeah.
Yes.
She was like, her husband obviously had, relations with a trans woman. And that's why she's so hung up. And because that's the only reason I can think that she is so hung up
Have you seen
is
that
that,
clip though, where she talks about? And I'm sorry, you should finish.
no, yeah. I just don't understand how else like you can be hung up because obviously something's happened to her personally, but she hasn't said anything, and now it's created this like huge grudge or whatever it is.
This just swirl of hatred, and
Delusion.
millions
Yeah.
of dollars she spent. I mean, I don't like. I don't even know. That's like a different point. But anyway, I did see a
Yeah.
clip of her talking about being young, and I obviously don't want to misquote. I mean, whatever, I'll misquote her because
Yeah.
she has everybody else. But like, she talks about like her own gender identity and questioning things, and I have
I
to
think I
think,
know. Yeah.
you know, the clip. Yeah, my fiance, he mentioned it yesterday, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
right, there was that clip, and her kind of posing under the Robert
Yes.
Galbraith name. It makes me think like there's got to be some
I
internalized
mean,
just hatred
even
there or something.
even smoking the cigar, I was like, that's a very masculine thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joanne, if you'd like to tell us something, now's the time. I mean, hilariously, the queer community would probably support you and welcome you despite all the damage you've done,
No,
because
exactly.
that's
So
how
yeah,
wonderful they
yeah,
are.
I saw the clip of her, and like, yeah, she talks about questioning things, and I thought, I mean, Joanne, Robert, whatever name you're going by
Yeah.
today, like, maybe it's time to put some of those millions you spend into some therapy and maybe gender affirming
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Exactly that. I feel like that's the same with all kind of, prejudices and discrimination. Is just like it comes down to their identity and not understanding their own identity. Because, like, here in the UK as well, we have a lot of Islamophobia, which is disgusting. And
Yeah.
I do wonder if some of it, because obviously a lot of it is racism, just straight up racism.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if some of it is, because we used to be such a Christian country. And I do wonder if the older generations, they were taught from a young age to connect their identity to religion, and we don't really have that anymore. And I wonder if it's seeing someone who is so connected to a god and to a religion in general, they just can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Because there's a church, I can't think where it is, but in the UK that is closing down. So it's a Christian church that's been closed down because no one's going anymore. No one's Christian in the UK anymore, really. And yet, sorry, and then they've sold it to, I don't know who they've sold it to, but it's being turned into a mosque now. And the vicar, he said something along the lines of, as long as it's being used for a community and it's being used to be closer to whatever God. Like, it was such a wonderful and empathetic message. But then obviously all these horrible, just ridiculous people, men, came online to suddenly be like, oh, well, I'll come to the church. I'm suddenly a devout Christian. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't know what their identity is, because so much of it has been taken from them in terms of not even just it's not by other people, like other people coming into our country. If anything, that's made the UK a much better place to be. But the systems and the government taking away our spaces and not putting funding back into communities.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got no sense of identity. Like, I remember, and this was only 10 years ago, at school, I was part of like so many clubs, and I talked to my sisters who are 10 years younger than me, and they go to like maybe one club, two clubs a week. And I
Yeah.
literally had a club on every single day. And then I'd be doing things on the weekends as well, because they just have no funding anymore. And it's so sad, because so much of our identity is rooted in community. Because to, understand our identity, we have to talk about it with other people, and we have to connect and relate to others to understand ourselves.
Which
And
makes you
we
wonder,
don't.
like, these men that they don't have, if a majority of your communications online are rooted in this hatred, I just
Mm,
feel really sad for you, because if that's all you
yeah,
have to cling to and that's all you have to give to the world, I mean, one day you're not going to be here and what you've left on the internet will be there forever. And like,
yeah,
if that's what you want to leave, I mean, I guess go ahead, but I really pity you.
yeah. I think that's it. It's pity, isn't it? Like, I really pity men
Yeah.
right now, because they've done it to themselves. They have shot themselves in the foot.
Yep.
But I do pity them, because, like, my partner, he's the loveliest man ever, and yet he struggles to have friends because they're all, in his words, complete weirdos, and they end
Yeah.
up having some weird views around women.
Freaks and
And
weirdos.
exactly, and so he's struggling to just even have friends because of this. And I just think they don't understand how this alarming behavior affects everyone and the rest of the male population, and essentially they're all going to be isolated. And it's just, yeah, I pity them, really, because I think, as we're not great with community anymore, but I think women and marginalized people in general have a greater
Do
commitment to community.
we do community a lot better
Yeah,
than men? I feel like, I mean, at least we try to hold some values that aren't just yelling at other people about being who
exactly
they
that.
are. And
Yeah.
I think that that's a good segue into this too, that like we don't have these in-person community spaces, but people like us, I mean, someone like you has found a way to build community online through your
Mm,
business and through your values.
yeah.
And isn't that a beautiful thing?
It is. It's so wonderful. And I think to myself, why don't more people do it? Because I just think, like, I had horrible conversations this week with TERFs, but I also had wonderful conversations with new friends and, trans people who follow me. And just, maybe this comes down to just my instincts in general, but I'm glad that I can be a space where people can just come and enjoy and feel safe and feel protected. Like I had someone, we were just having a general conversation in the comments section, and I can't remember what it was about, but some rude person decided to interject and, put their 2 cents down and be really horrible and rude. And so I just blocked it. And that person, the original commenter, then messaged me and said, "Thank you for blocking it. I didn't want to talk to this person. It was a really horrible message." And just like to know that I can protect people just by policing my space in general, makes me feel just really happy that I can provide that space, because like we said, there are no third spaces and we do turn to people online.
Yeah. And we
And
don't
I
get
think
paid to do that stuff. Like we don't get paid
no,
to block people. Frankly, it
no,
hurts metrics the more we block people, and like it's really wonderful to create that space like you said, and you do a great job of it. I know other creators do too, but like again, we don't make money from blocking people. We're really
no.
making a community safe. And I've had people tell me like, "Oh, you're making an echo chamber. You just don't want differing views in your comments." And it's like I messaged somebody, they like posted a bunch of hateful stuff about me on their story, and like they didn't read one of my posts fully, and I DM'd them and I said, like, do you want to actually talk? Like, do you want to get on a call and
Yeah.
talk about this? And they suddenly backed way off. And it was like, oh no, I just thought this. And I said, okay. And I explained it and they went, oh, thanks. That makes sense. And then they didn't take their post down. And I was just like, maybe, first of all, maybe read things fully, but also like
Yeah,
everybody's so comfortable hiding behind their
they are.
anonymous, profile. And I think it just makes people feel like they can get away with that stuff. And as we've seen, and
Yeah.
as you said, we'll send it to your employer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had at the beginning of the year loads of stuff about my silk dress, and people just absolutely losing their mind that a fat woman can be in silk. But they were boiling it down to the dress not being sewn correctly,
Sure.
rather than, being truthful and saying they had a problem with my body. Anyway, I remember this person, I think they commented the same thing like on 5 different videos of the silk dress and going, "Oh, she's only rage baiting you all because she makes money out of these posts." And I go, I don't make a cent out of this content. The only money I make is through the actual sales on my website, mainly because I actually don't know how to do it. I don't know how to monetize my videos to be able to do that. And to be honest, I can't be bothered. I just don't see the
It's
point
too
in it.
much work. No, somebody else,
Yeah,
I had somebody say to me the other day, like, oh, you have such a big account. And I was like, I mean, thank you. But I said, like, I don't make a dime from
no,
this account. In fact, Meta invoiced me the other day. I was just talking to my last guest about this. Invoiced me $0. They were like, here's your Reels payout. And it was line, they did line, they itemized it. And it was zero,
yeah,
zero, zero, grand total zero.
Jesus.
I was like, thanks, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. I just like, I don't see the point, do you know what I mean, in making
Mhm.
money off of people just engaging like human beings.
Yeah.
Because I know that like obviously like paid like promotions obviously get that money, but the whole like literally monetizing every single video you put out there, I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like it's funny because a few of my like friends are like, "Oh yeah, you're like an influencer," and I'm like, "No, no, I'm not an
No.
influencer. I am an owner of a brand who, yes, does have a big following, and yes, does, post just herself, but I'm not an influencer because I'm not like showing products that aren't my own." Do you know what I mean? Like I have emails from, you know, whatever those places are that like find paid
I get
promotions.
them too. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just like, "Oh, we think you'd be great to promote this sustainable activewear." And I go, huh, would me, the brand owner of a sustainable fashion line, would I want to promote someone else's sustainable fashion? No, thank you.
I had somebody reach out to me. They were like, they thought I'd be a really great fit for a treadmill. And I was like, first of all, I don't post my body, but I was
Yeah,
also like, hi, if you couldn't tell by the everything about me, not into fitness, hi,
No.
sorry, I don't think, and I replied nicely, of course, but I was like, I don't think we're a good fit. I don't
Yeah.
use treadmills.
You know what? I completely would change my tune if like a sewing company reached out to me and went, "We want to give you a free sewing machine." I'd
Oh,
be like,
yeah.
"Yeah, bring it
Yep.
on, bring it on. I'll make as much content as you want. A new, brand new iron, yes, please. I really need one right now." Do you know what? Like, if it
Yeah.
was actually, useful to me
Yeah.
in what I do, and I do believe in it, then maybe I would. But that's like a really strong maybe.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's a
but
dream brand for you? What would be like if somebody slid into your DMs and said, "Hey, we want to work with you." It's a brand. What is like your dream brand?
I actually don't think I've got one. How weird is that? I don't.
That's okay.
I think because things I really believe in, I'm happy to just tell people. Do you know,
Yeah.
I don't need to be paid to promote something I
Yeah,
really
of
believe in. Like,
course.
I've got this water filter, which I've had for a year now, and I just can't stop telling people about it because I'm like, it's changed my life.
What
Like,
what is it? Go ahead.
so it's Faux, no,
Okay.
sorry, I can't spell, Phox.
Okay, I'm gonna look
Um,
it up.
they are sustainable water filters, so they're like, they're like fuck Brita. We make stuff that you can degrade naturally. And I mean, the water in London is awful. Like, it's so bad. I'm
Oh
originally
my
from
God.
down south in the UK, which is Southampton, which is just by the Isle of Wight. So you look at the
Oh,
UK, you see
cool.
like a little triangle. I'm just above
Yeah.
that.
Love that.
And the
That's
water
so lovely.
there,
I've been there.
yeah. Oh, have you?
I have. I did. I
Nice.
went to the UK. It was like, oh my God, it was 10 years ago.
Oh my God, incredible. How did you find it?
I really loved it. I really want to go
Yeah.
back. I'm still like COVID informed and I still wear a
Yeah.
mask everywhere indoors. And I mean, as you've seen in the US, I don't know if you've seen actually, planes are landing upside down. We've gotten rid,
Yes.
our commander in chief has taken away our air traffic controllers,
Mm,
lots of them. So I'm not super keen for many
no,
reasons to
that's
be
fair.
getting on a flight right now.
Yeah. That is
I'm looking
more
at
than
that, yeah.
fair.
But I am looking at these filters though, and they look really
Yeah,
cool. I'm a
they're
fan of the
so good.
packaging.
Yeah, and they do one where they add magnesium into it, which for me is great.
Mm.
Because I should probably eat more minerals, and I
Oh,
don't.
I
Um,
see.
yeah, but they do it based on what kind of water you've got. So in London, it's hard water, but it's because we have old Victorian pipes. It's like there's copper in it. There's like all of this like awful stuff essentially.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it like I kid you not, right? When I
Mhm.
clean my water filter out every week, there's like a little
Yeah.
white thing that goes into it, and it's got a lid on. When I take that out to just give it a wipe, there's mold in it. There's literal mold, and that's just tap water that's just been in the fridge filtering through, and any
Delightful.
residue that's in that water has just stuck onto the sides of the little thing, and it's just gotten. Obviously, you can clean it off really easily, but still,
Yeah.
like, that's how
Oof.
bad the water is. But like that, I remember I was telling my dad about it. I was like, I'll buy you one for Christmas. Oh, it's great. I'll buy you one for Christmas, because he's always complaining about the hard water in his
Yeah.
cups of tea and the lime scale, because it is really bad. It's really
Mm-hmm.
bad. And yeah, it's products like that or like hair products or makeup products, or I'll just go, I really love this, and I'll always say, like, it might not be for you, but I just thought more people should know about it, because
Mm-hmm.
why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be paid for that. I'd much rather work with interesting people than work with brands, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, like
Is
at
there
the
a
moment,
person you want to work with?
so many really. I think I would love to work with, oh God, there's so many. So like the one that comes to my mind, but probably because I've been listening to her music today, is Charlie XCX.
Mm.
Um, I think it would be so cool to just give her one of my pieces. Not actually anything from my current collection. I think my autumn collection she'd absolutely like love, especially like because I'm doing tartan. which has got a bit of pop, a pop of brat green to it, which I'm really excited for. But she would just, because I think she's so fun and interesting, and she's really, yeah, do you know, it's just working with interesting people who make you think. Do you know what I mean? Because I see a lot of like negative stuff around like Charlie or Sabrina Carpenter or
Mhm.
Chapel Rowan, that we like to call them the Powerpuff Girls in this house.
Yeah. How dare a
Because
woman? How dare a woman have fun?
exactly. And those are the women I want to work with, and those are the people I want to work with, the people who are, challenging norms. They're making people talk and discuss about things and making people think and like making people curious with your art. I think is what art is for.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? I couldn't make something just for the sake of it. I have to do it in a way that it's going to make someone stop and think. And it's so strange to say that about fashion nowadays, but essentially that's what it was. That's what all art is.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like if art, I think true art is thought provoking. I feel like, at least for me, when I'm making stuff, it's like the point is not just to be pretty. And I think you do
Yeah.
this in your brand a lot too. I mean, if we're not making a statement with our art, what is really the point?
Yeah. Because, as much as I want to empower fat women, I want to make them feel beautiful and confident. I also don't want to minimize them and make them look the same as everyone else.
Mhm.
Um, and this is something that I do find challenging to get across in
Yeah.
like terms of marketing and stuff like that, because it will be a lot of like, oh, if I had somewhere to wear this to, and it's like, but you wear it anywhere you want to.
Yeah.
You don't, there's no,
Wear it to the grocery store.
yeah, no one's telling you not to wear it anywhere. It's about you having the confidence to wear it, and so it's trying to get that across to them, because some people are like, hell yeah, give me the quirky stuff, give me the things
Yeah.
that make me look awesome. But others are very reserved in it, and I think it's because obviously fast fashion and just the fashion industry in general has become so minimal and so bland, that people are afraid to take risks now.
I do. And it's funny because I just talked about this with Monica on the last episode. There is such a beige wave right now of people
Mm,
navigating to neutrals. And I mean, you can see for those who are watching the video, I mean, my workspace is bright orange. And if you've seen Emma's work, it's all, I love your rich jewel tones. I
thank
just
you.
cannot get enough of it. The satin, when it's just like a rich
Oh,
red. You
I
did like
know.
this, I forget what you did, like an off the shoulder red one, and
Mm,
I didn't have the funds at the time, but I saw it and I was like, oh,
oh.
I just love it.
Do you know, choosing colors is probably one of my favorite thing about the whole design process,
Yeah.
because I went to fashion school, so they're very much like everything you do needs to relate back to your concept.
Yeah.
Um, and so when you come to choosing colors, it needs to tell the story. So with my current collection that's on the website, I'm telling a story about a knight and a fairy, so therefore the colors need to reflect that. And in the next collection, not to give too much away, but
Yeah.
I'm telling the story of two queens. So those, and they're opposing queens. So they need to, that needs to come through within the colors. So they
Mhm.
need to be, they need to be harmonious, but they need to be slightly opposing and
Yeah.
give a variety.
Really
But I think,
complimentary.
yeah, I think people really are starting to navigate towards that now. I
I
think
agree.
I'm hoping we are seeing the end of the beige as more people kind of go, wearing color is punk in a way. It's rebellious, it's whatever. Fuck beige. Um,
Mhm.
and they become louder as
Yeah.
we start to see more conservatism rise. It's really interesting because I put out a thread last year and no one saw it, and I feel so sad because I've been massively validated in it.
Oh no,
But I
repost
said,
it.
yeah, I will now. But I said
Yeah.
that with the rise of conservatism, it's very similar to the 1980s. specifically in the UK. I was talking about, and it's interesting to see a rise of conservatism mixed with a rise of medieval Renaissance and camp, because the
Yeah.
1980s in the UK, we had Monty Python, Blackadder, like all
Hmm.
these shows which were campy and historical and fun and took the piss out of everyone. And I feel like we're starting to see that come back again, especially with like countries having its moment in terms of
Yeah.
music. But it's not like a stereotypical country like Western, but it's like pop girl Western,
There is a
if that makes
very,
sense.
I do think it's interesting following trends and politics
Mm,
together. You keep bringing it up, like with the rise of fascism, we are seeing shifts
yeah,
in the fashion world, which I think is really interesting, and I want to talk about
yeah,
that.
definitely. I mean, I think we're going to see two opposing things in the fashion industry. We're going to have one side rooted in that campiness, colors, historical references, really loud, really rebellious punk, whatever. And then we're going to have the conservative side. I can't tell you what brand that's going to be, but I
The
mean, I
trad
know I'm not going to
wives.
be, yeah, I'm not going to be in the conservative one, obviously. um, but yeah, it's going to be like trad wives, cottage core, but like cottage core in a way. Actually, no, sorry, cottage core is not the right word. Homestead, like
Yeah,
cooking.
very
Yeah,
beige, homey. Yeah, traditional,
yeah,
like nuclear family, I feel.
yes, exactly. And I think it's really, especially with like, obviously, you said about the trans issue.
Yeah.
I posted the other day about how I think that hyper feminine women, which I put myself in this category essentially, hyper feminine women who kind of go all out on expressive makeup, are going to start to be questioned on whether they are biologically female or whatever. And I think we're going
Yep.
to see a shift of that kind of rebellious woman move into that hyper femininity. And I think almost like parodying, like you said, the nuclear family. And for me, I think of 1950s, like, but I think of the really bright kitchens and like
Yeah.
poodle skirts and all of that, and like,
The jello molds and the like.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and what's it, gingham, which I feel like
Hmm.
gingham is going to make a huge
I'm
comeback in
seeing
a
it.
camp, yeah, in a campy way.
Yeah.
Like when Chapel Roan was on SNL, I was
Hmm.
like, that's
Yeah.
that's like the epitome of 80s camp to me. um so it's
It's so
going to be
interesting
so
you say
interesting.
it is. It's
Mm,
interesting you said the point of with all of the anti-trans legislation. I mean, we're seeing it in the US hard too. I mean,
yeah,
we have a congresswoman, Sarah McBride, a trans woman, one of our first in Congress. And I mean, other white
yeah,
cisgender women are just constantly attacking her. And I always appreciate she
yeah,
says in her speeches, like, I do wish we would, focus on issues that are affecting our constituents and, not
yeah.
focusing on my genitals. Thank you.
Mm,
And it's interesting you say that we're going to be seeing more attacks on women who do the campier, kind of like more drag esque makeup because I have friends and I have already experienced someone DM'd me the other day with I won't repeat it, a trans slur. I posted
yeah,
a picture on my story of like I did like cool eyeliner with Trixie Cosmetics,
yeah.
and I was just like, I mean, I blocked. I didn't even respond. I was just like,
No, it's not worth
also,
it.
I
No.
people who use trans as an insult too. I think like
Mm.
how disgusting is that?
Because I sorry.
Like you're not a real woman. You're trans, and it's like
No.
if
Yeah.
that's your idea of like a read or
Mm.
like negative, like if that's really your insult, like
Yeah.
wouldn't like how amazing is it to be a trans woman? That's seriously your idea of an
Exactly.
insult?
Exactly. The trans women I come across online, I'm like, oh my God, they are so gorgeous. Like
Stunning
they are
divas. I love them.
stunning. Like literally like goddess. And I'm like, how could you think that this is a bad thing when we're
Yeah.
being served such face cards? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm inspired
Yes.
so much because it's like insane. It's so creative and it's so beautiful, and like
Yeah.
the self-expression is just so authentic.
We're
Yeah.
seeing the opposite spectrum of it too with the I won't even say our current president, his administration.
Mm.
We're seeing I've seen threads. People put pictures of, there's like a big plastic surgery ring. These women who are conservative. I mean,
Mm,
guys, like look it up. There
yeah,
is, if you look at pictures of women before and after they've aligned themselves with our current US,
yeah.
GOP administration, um, there's this weird plastic surgery trend that, I
Mm,
mean, I think just turns these women into like melted villain
yeah,
looking creatures, and it's very weird to see
yeah,
those women attacking and vilifying trans women when, like, guys, I
yeah,
you look terrible, Mary. I don't think trans women are
yeah.
the problem. I think that's the model. I think that's the template for you, sweetie.
Yeah, literally, like that's what we should all be
Yeah,
aspiring to, because it's
yeah,
like goddess after goddess, and I'm just
yeah.
like gagged every time. But it's, yeah, I mean, I get my biologicalness gets called into question quite a bit. And it's really interesting because I was speaking to a friend about this. I think there's an overlap between transphobia and fatphobia,
It's
because
the way we present.
yeah, because 9 times out of 10 we have to be overtly feminine, and hyper feminine to protect ourselves in a way. I kind of, for me, I see it as a drag now. Like I kind of put, when I do my shoots, I feel like I'm in drag. Like I'm putting on the persona of Haus Dahlia. She's still me, but I'm not going around looking
You're
like,
totally doing drag. I am
yeah,
here
like
for it.
I'm not going around every day and looking like that. Like I choose my moments.
It's giving Italian marble sculpture. It's giving
Yeah,
Renaissance. It's like
thank you. Yeah.
perfection.
Yeah, exactly. And like with my next collection, it's a different persona, but it's still the same persona in a way. So like, yeah, it is drag. And I think, that's how I, as a woman, am navigating through life. Like I have to put like some kind of persona on because I've been told all my life that I can't really be myself, and I'm still struggling to know who that is. And so that kind of like hyper femininity, very expressive, very queer, um, projection helps me understand who I am as an identity and as a person, what I look like.
Mhm.
Mm.
I do love it though. We were just talking about like who your dream person to work with would be. I don't know if you follow her. But she just came out with two different music videos. I really want to see you dress Brittany Broski. She just did a
Yes.
Renaissance. She just did a Renaissance corseted
Yeah.
moment. I saw nods to like Caravaggio and like a lot of
Oh,
Renaissance art, and I am
wasn't it just
instantly thought of
gorgeous?
you. It
Oh,
was. And I
I
instantly
I
thought of you. I saw
just
that bodice, I saw that corset and how
yeah,
cinch she was, and I just thought, oh, this needs to be a Haus Dahlia
yeah.
shoot.
I do really want to dress her actually. I can't believe I didn't say Britney. I do really want to dress her. I think she'd look incredible in a silk dress, like
Yeah.
incredible, with like when she has her hair up in her little like
Oh,
updo. Oh my God,
yeah.
stunning. And like her lashes are always amazing. And like everything she does is just so hilarious and just amazing. And again, she's done something really unique in that she's made a third space, through her authenticity.
Mhm.
And those are the people I want to work with. And yeah, it would be a
Absolutely.
dream.
Let's
So,
manifest it.
Brittany.
Let's
Oh,
Brittany work with
my
Emma.
my cat. This is my cat. This is Toast.
I love
She's an ickle
her.
baby.
Oh my gosh. My
She's
tuxedo, he's like averse to being picked up, or else I would intro him to the pod. What a cute
uh,
little baby
she's
woman.
she's probably gonna walk across the screen several times before she decides where she's gonna sit. Oh no, we're sitting down straight away. That's unusual for you.
I love her. But anyway, yeah, Brittany, come on the pod. Brittany, work with
Yes.
Emma. We need to
Yes.
see a fully realized like
Yeah.
Renaissance campaign. I'm waiting
I
for the album drop.
Yeah, same. I mean, firstly, the cover. Oh my God. Sorry. Harry Styles, get out
Yeah.
of here. Who do you think you are? Britney is now the owner of this song.
I was gonna say I heard
um,
that song and I was like, oh, Harry Styles, who? This is
yeah,
no longer
I
his
don't
tune.
know who he is.
Yep.
And then The Sun, is that what it was called? Her single? Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful. So
I
gorgeous.
bawled like a baby when I heard her
Yeah.
voice. Just to like see another unapologetic plus size woman be funny
Yeah.
and like smart. And I love her podcast because I mean, there are tons of
Hmm.
podcasts out there like talking about relationships and just kind of
Yeah.
like they would not pass the Bechdel test, these other podcasts. And
No.
I love hers because she comes on and she has her computer there and like she'll fact check herself live. And it's like
Yeah.
something I'm striving to do with this podcast is to like
Yeah. Yeah.
have conversations where we're like not talking about men or relationships. And I just
Yeah.
I absolutely bawled when I saw her music video because I was like, here's a woman who started as a meme. She
Yeah.
was that kombucha girl
Yeah.
meme, and like here she has built a platform. She has this community, and like what she's pushing is like strong, confident, plus size,
Yeah.
talented women.
Yeah. Her and is it Drew?
Drew,
I'm
yeah,
so bad with people's names. I'm really terrible with them. Yeah, Drew. Oh my God, incredible. And her podcast as well is great. And
yeah.
they're two incredible, authentic people. And it's so refreshing, isn't it? So refreshing.
Yeah, how incredible is it too? And I know she talked about the fashion industry too and dressing herself for premieres. And I am
Mm,
enjoying seeing more stylists dressing plus size women, but I mean, it's definitely something like some do it really well and some really, you can tell they do not know how to dress a plus size
yeah.
woman.
It is an art in itself, I think, because it is really easy to dress a skinny person. Like when I come to do designs, because obviously I went to fashion school, but we were taught to design for a certain size, which was a size
Yeah.
8. And, you know, when I left uni, I was very much like, oh God, I feel like I can design, but do my designs even work for someone like myself? Like, am I a designer who can't even design for fat people? Um, and so even now, 3 years into this business, there are designs that I throw out because I'm like, this just wouldn't work on a plus size person. Not because, you know, it would unflatter them because that's what I want to do. I want to flatter them, which I don't. It just
Mhm.
wouldn't move right. Like it would be restrictive. Like it wouldn't
Yeah.
actually be comfortable and stuff like that. And I feel like that's why they say that if when a designer loves women because they know how to design for them. And I
Mhm.
think it's not just that, but it's also having the experiences of going, okay, well, I know that won't work for plus size people because I'm plus size. Um, and having those experiences aids me in being able to create things that I know one plus size people are wanting and they're dying to see for themselves, but also is going to be really comfortable and not restrict them in any way.
Yeah, I all of your, and that's a great point to kind of end on. I feel like your fashion does it really well. It's bold, it's colorful, but that's
Mm.
also it's this luxury that we don't see plus size women in these luxury campaigns. I mean, when it's Gucci, Dior, YSL, we're not seeing plus size women. And
No.
your brand is really, I mean, uplifting your figure, which is stunning, but just
Thank
like
you.
showing that plus size women deserve luxury and deserve this
Mm.
level of high end fashion that we don't often get.
Yeah. And I think like I'm able to do that through sustainable fabrics. Like that's what I think gives the luxury part, is because I'm choosing fabrics that I know one look amazing, but they're also like completely natural, no synthetic materials, like silk, for example.
Yeah.
I think fat women just do silk better. There you go. I'm gonna say it. I've said it now. I don't regret it. I just think we look so much more ethereal in it. And it's really made for us. Sorry, I'm just putting my cat. She's being annoying. Yeah, and like choosing things like linen, for example, nice luxury type of fabric because we don't see 100% linen very much. But also it's breathable, it's, long lasting, it's not going to shrink in the wash, like it's going to move with you. And then going into the design, making it so that it again flux, because we fluctuate,
Yeah.
like a lot of us bloat, a lot of us, um in the summer you're less likely to eat a lot, whereas in the winter you are, like, it's just again environmental factors. And so making clothes that can move through those and still be with you in 5-10 years time is like the goal, really. That's why I do it
Yeah,
all. And then again, yeah, making sure that that option is there for fat women because they deserve it.
we do. We deserve so much more. And
We do.
my hope for the world in the next decade is that sustainable fashion becomes more affordable. We see more luxury
Mm,
items for plus size for fat women, and
yeah.
that the options are as stunning as what you create.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there are so many brands out there now that are starting to pay attention to plus
Mhm.
size fashion. But I think, you know, more plus size women need to stand up and create these brands.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be the only one. And I'm not the only one, but I don't like, I want more women to come into this industry.
Yeah.
Um, one, so I've got people I can relate to, because I meet some of these people in the fashion industry and I just go, oh, bloody hell, like, you're everything I do despise in this industry. And it's really hard to, not make friends, but network with people and create
Yeah.
opportunities and stuff like that. Whereas I think if we had more plus size women working within the industry, and not just models, I'm talking like all of the jobs, we'd see a lot more inclusivity because they'd have more say. But I don't think that's going to happen with the current brands that we've got, because they
No.
don't want to give up a seat for us. So we really have to make a seat for ourselves. And so I think if you're a plus size woman who wants to start a fashion brand, you should go for it. There's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, you should too. And I know some people, the whole fast fashion conversation, like some people don't have the funds to be getting more sustainable stuff right now. And so that's, as I said, my hope for the future is that sustainability is more affordable. But if you have the means right now, instead of, hopping down to Old Navy, buy from someone like Emma, buy from Haus
Mm.
Dahlia and get a piece that will actually last you,
Yeah.
for years to come.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even if you can't, you know, I think just trying to make for yourself, you start to kind of understand, like, once you get the hang of, like, you know, sewing and doing basic pattern cutting, you can really start to like hone your skill in. And I don't want to be too premature in saying this, but I am working on something with a fellow colleague of mine in the industry, and we're hoping to do workshops and stuff like that where we teach these skills to other plus size women.
I would
Um,
love that. I have a sewing machine that
I
I have not touched in a year, and I would just
Yeah,
love to be armed with
because
some skills.
this is the thing. I think learning to sew is easy. It's the pattern cutting side of it, which is
Mhm.
where I excel in. Don't mean to brag, but I do quite well in it.
Oh no,
um,
we love self-confident women.
yes. Um, and so I think if I was able to teach you guys, how to do a basic block, which is basically like, I have blocks as a designer, and it's like a basic bodice pattern. Like, it literally like just follows your shape as it naturally is. And it's usually got two darts in it, and then from that block you can usually create anything.
Mhm.
Um, so from my blocks, I've made the silk dresses. I've made the corsets from some of them. Like, you don't once you've got a block, you don't necessarily need patterns anymore. It's just a bit of trial and error, um, which I think is the fun in it all, really, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
like it's a bit of a science, and it's just learning how to do that science.
And you're so good at it. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for coming on today. I feel
Oh,
like
thank you.
we covered so many topics. We
We did
we got
actually,
we
yeah.
got pretty deep. Yeah, no, and I mean, obviously, if you're watching this and you're one of my followers, go check out Emma's work, Haus Dahlia, new collection coming this summer, which I, for one, cannot wait. I definitely want to
Yes.
get something. I know you can't give anything away, but if there was to be a deep, deep red or green or
Yes. Oh,
something,
you are covered in this new
I'm
collection.
so
Covered.
excited. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I will definitely be buying this summer. I'm so excited. I want my first
Thank
Haus
you.
Dahlia piece. So everybody check out Emma. Thank you again so much for being on the podcast, Emma. I am Carly and I'm a talking person, and see you guys next week. Bye.